The first value that I hold dear to my heart and very important in a well-balanced life is loyalty. To me, loyalty means that you show allegiance to something or that you'll always be there to help them no matter what. So that means that for someone that you consider a close friend or a family member, you should have loyalty for them. Or what's the point of that relationship? In order to have a nice and healthy relationship, I think loyalty is the key because that means that you've been with them through the thick and the thin, and this isn't just for the good times, this is also for the bad. One way that I show loyalty in my personal life is by remaining close to my family no matter how far I am from them. When I first moved to college, I maybe called my dad once a week, which I still think showed my loyalty because I still made sure to talk to him on a regular basis and fill him in on everything. But now that I'm older, I even call him more than that, maybe 2 or 3 times a week, depending on how busy he is or how busy I am. I try to make sure to call him even though I talk to my mom at least once a day or maybe even more because I think it's important that he hears it from me himself and that we maintain our personal relationship and he doesn't hear everything from my mom. I think that's one way to show loyalty is to show that you care about the person enough to take time to call them no matter how busy you or they are. I think it's important that you show them that there's still time for them, and that's loyalty to me. Another way that I show loyalty is by maintaining trust. So this can be if I hear a secret or something bad that someone doesn't want everyone to know. I make sure not to tell anyone because I want them to be able to trust me, and I think that's another important part of a relationship and part of loyalty so that they know that you are there for them no matter what and they can always trust you and go to you for anything they need. Another value that I really hold dear is hard work. I think that's because growing up, I was such a hard worker. That might sound kind of full of myself to say, but I don't mean it in that way at all. To me, hard work means that no matter what, you always keep working and pushing for whatever it is that you want. Even if at first you fail, you keep trying. I definitely think that I did that in my life because as an IB student or international baccalaureate, I had a lot of failures and a lot of struggles in school, and no matter what, I kept pushing and I finally managed to graduate with my IB diploma, which was a huge accomplishment and showed me that hard work really does pay off. As someone that might not have been the best test taker in my life, I definitely had a couple of failures on tests and whatnot. So doing something like IB really showed me that hard work does pay off and not everything comes from just being naturally smart. And that's why I really hold it dear to my heart because some people can be the smartest people in the world, but if they don't work hard, what are they achieving? And that's why hard work is really important to me because I've seen the benefits of my own hard work. Another value that I find very important is respect. The way that I would define respect is to treat one the way that you would want to be treated. The golden rule. I would also like to include the term honest in my definition of the word respect because in order for there to be mutual respect, I believe that there has to be honesty between two people. If you're not being truthful to someone, you must not respect them a lot. In order to lie to someone, you have to have a lack of disrespect. That's why children, I believe, are often lying because they haven't learned the meaning and the power of respect yet. But once you become older, you should understand what respect is and why it's important, and I think that's why adults should lie less. However, someone that lies a lot, I think, is very disrespectful normally. I was always taught that lying was a bad thing no matter what. One way that I hold respect and honesty together in my life is by always telling my friends the truth no matter what. Now, that doesn't mean I'll try and hurt them necessarily, but I'll try and phrase things in a nice way that might hurt their feelings because I believe it's more respectful to tell them the truth and let them know honestly what's going on than to hide behind things and not be honest with them because that's just disrespectful. It's also disrespectful to lie to someone because it shows them that you think they're gullible or easily tricked. I don't like that we could take advantage of people like that, and for that reason I find both of them to go together, and I find both of them very important. Backtracking a little bit, I mentioned earlier how I believe I'm a very hard worker, and I tried not too much to boast about it. That's because another value that I find very important is humility. To me, humility means that you might know the good in yourself, but you're not telling everyone about it and making people jealous on purpose. I think humility doesn't mean that you don't recognize the good in yourself, but it means that you're not flaunting it for others to dislike you for. Humbleness comes from content with yourself and not from content with comparing yourself to other people. The way that I show humbleness is by often not telling people what's going on. Now, that might sound like a bad thing, but if they care, they'll ask, and I'll tell them honestly because I respect them. But if they don't care, I don't need to tell them because they don't need to know what's going on in my life to make them feel worse. Maybe they're in a bad place and that's why they're not asking me. Or maybe we just don't know each other that well. It's not my place to put myself in their lives. If they want to know, they can know. The last, and certainly not least, value that I find very important is passion. I think that if you're not passionate about anything you do, what's the point of doing it? I used to want to be a lawyer. When I was a senior in high school, actually my entire high school career, I was on the track for pre-law. I was in the law academy, took as many law courses my high school offered, as well as taking a class at the local college in my town. I also did mock trial and worked in my dad's law office to see what it was like for 2 years. I was so ready to be a lawyer. Legally Blonde was my favorite movie. We all wanted that Elle Woods moment where you find the unexpected bad guy, the unexpected defendant, where you, the blonde, who nobody saw it coming, crack the case. I dreamed of that moment, and when I applied to UF, I was set as pre-law and very excited to follow in my father's footsteps. However, the minute that I graduated college, and it's something that I still joke about to this day, it all of a sudden hit me. I loved it, but did I love it enough? I really liked fashion, and I really liked art. I did art in high school. Now, when I say I did art in high school, I didn't just take an art course. That was one of my higher levels for International Baccalaureate. What that means is that I basically majored in this subject, and I got very deep into it and learned so much and created many upon many art pieces with research and meaning behind all of them. I found that even though I knew beforehand that I was creative and artistic, it was a real passion of mine, and how could I turn away from that? With law, I would be behind a desk all day, writing papers and reading things, and deciding if something that people decided 200 years ago was fit. That's kind of cool, and I'm not gonna lie, I'd be happy doing that. But colors and shapes and patterns, that gets me much more excited. That's why passion is very important to me, and that's why I decided to change my major to public relations, because I want to work in an industry where I can create, where I can think of things and make them happen, where I can show people colors like I see them. I also want to work in the fashion industry with my PR degree, because that'll let me flourish even more. And that's how I show passion. Now, to go with my definition of passion, I really quickly want to add that I find passion means that you are a risk taker and you're adventurous. How exactly? That's because if you are passionate about something, you're willing to adventure and find out more about what you're passionate about and why. You're willing to be a risk taker and risk things to discover and further your passions. That's what I did. I risked it all by coming to school and switching my major. My parents definitely weren't happy and might still tell me to this day to switch back to free law, but I'm risk-taking it all and trying something that I know that I love. And it feels good to live life on the edge a little bit. That's why I'm also adventurous, because I like to adventure and see things and see them in a different way and learn things all the time. I'm very interested in culture for this same reason, and for this reason I like to discover new places on campus and drive around Gainesville and see new things. It's really fun to discover passions through adventure and risk-taking, and that's why I think that the three go hand in hand, and they're all very important parts of life, so that we can all see in color. To me, that's really important because another part of my definition that I would like to bring into respect would be the
hold very dear and important to my heart. I think loyalty means that no matter what, you always respect and will help.
because to me that shows loyalty and it shows that I still think about them.